Welcome back to another episode of Hey Jai. Kind of want to just get right into it. I told you guys I was going to be uploading a little bit more consistently, so we do have a couple of things that I do want to talk about regarding the show, future of IMS, and things like that. You know, not really sharing my plans, but just kind of give an outline of some updates of what I'm going to do with the show to make it more accessible, reach a bigger audience, things like that. All right. But we're going to say that for the end. I do have a theme today, doing a good topic. Something that's kind of been hitting me all week, and I was laughing because before I recorded, I was actually on Twitter and I saw a tweet that kind of encapsulates what exactly I want to talk about. So shout out to this young lady here. But what I want to talk about, the theme is doing what it takes. And this is in regards to achieving goals, some kind of personal mission, however you see yourself, the person that you want to be. Are you willing to do what it takes?
No.
And I think that a lot of people in general just don't. They don't do what it takes. They know what to avoid that can deter them, like the obvious stuff, like, oh, well, I'll follow the law and I don't get in trouble with anybody. I don't have any beef with anybody. Don't do drugs and blah, 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 right? But then that's not enough. It's not enough to not be doing anything wrong, to be doing something right in regards to your goals or where you want to be. Because whenever you're just not doing anything or you're just coasting, you're only going to get what life throws at you. You don't really have any control of the steering wheel with that. And with that being said, I do want to start off by quoting this tweet from at the Kaya Nova. I tweeted, "Hard truth is some people are working smarter and more consistently than you. And that's why they seem to keep winning. Not everyone is just being handed things. Many people are earning it. But the great news is you can join them through your own discipline and self-belief." And that is a hard truth. That's a hard truth for a lot of people to accept. A lot of people won't do what it takes. That there are plenty of people that are working harder, that are being more consistent, that are following the plan and necessary steps to get places where you might want to be as well. And the fact that they're doing it and you're not, I'm not going to say it's necessarily has to be a pure competition, but I think we've developed a culture, and you see it a lot chronically online, of people just kind of being whiny and complaining of why they aren't where they're supposed to be, or being envious of others, of being, capitalizing off of what they're supposed to be. I don't think things necessarily happen by accident. Some stuff is uncontrollable. I would say opportunity is by accident, but opportunity favors the prepared, right? And I think that if you are mentally prepared to capitalize off opportunity, I think that's how you're able to accomplish certain things, right? And whether that preparation is done months in advance, whether that's done with actual groundwork, starting a YouTube channel ahead of time, starting a brand or a platform, or getting yourself out there ahead of time, and then you get faced with an opportunity, or having just a mental plan that is like, okay, well, whenever I do this, I'm going to be prepared to do this, or I'm in a financial situation to invest my time into this if I have the opportunity, things like that. And I feel like those are just all steps or good habits to have for yourself, whenever it comes to doing what it takes to reach a level that you want to. And that's not, just talking about for finances. That's not just talking about for notoriety, fame, or anything like that. It could be as simple as a personal goal, right? A phrase I've been seeing lately is the male loneliness epidemic going around, and I don't think it's just a male thing, but you see, people in their early 20s or stuff like that complaining about not having certain relationships or friends or things like that with other people. Well, are you doing things to, circumvent that? Are you going places? where people are? Are you looking for events that interest you, that you might find people with like-minded interests? Are you trying to build real life communities with people, not just online? Which there's nothing wrong with having online friends or things like that. Some of my good friends came from playing the game online, right? Um, but there are things that that I established myself offline too, and I think if you have a goal in anything for yourself, I think that every day you should be doing something towards that goal, even if that's reinforcing a habit or a belief, some sort of positive affirmation towards that goal. You just can't want it. You have to actually be doing stuff for it. What's that thing about faith without works? It's useless or something like that. One of those lines, right? Somebody that was very controversial on the internet, Kevin Samuels, rest in peace to him. Doing what it takes to get what you want is a lot of what he kind of talked about. If you listen through it, right? I'm not a red pill nigga. I don't care about who you date, who you don't date. I don't care what kind of value, man, woman, whoever you are. That's your business. I like what I like. You like. I like the girls I like. You like the girls you like, right? But he did it theatrically. He did it in a way to go viral. Oftentimes, But the crux theme of all of his videos, all of his lives, all of his conversations with people, are you going to do the work to put yourself in a position to get what you want? His focus was on relationships with a lot of people who were middle-aged, approaching that in their 30s, 40s, or whatever. He talked a lot to men and women. He was famous for talking to women. And he would let them know. He was like, hey, you want this type of man that has this type of money or this type of status, type of dude that you want to brag on in this way. Okay, well, typically this type of man, it comes with X, Y, and Z. Are you willing to do that? Are you willing to mentally prepare to be the wife to this type of man? This type of man doesn't normally go for X, Y, and Z. So are you willing to change yourself? And a lot of people would get there who they didn't fit the bill, who, if they had to change key things about themselves, their personality, their weight, their mentality, there are things that happened to them in the past. A lot of single moms on there, they said, oh, well, this type of man is going to take that, they weren't willing to change it, so they got offended by it. And I think that's kind of like an epidemic that's going on in society, is that whenever somebody tells you, hey, to do this, you have to do this. That's how you get here. It's not just hard work. The first thing that people preach whenever reaching a goal, and it starts back to think about whenever you were a child and they ask you what you want to do for a career. And everybody had these extravagant answers: astronaut, doctor, basketball player, blah, 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 right? They all said the same thing. You're going to have to work hard. You're going to have to be good in school. You're going to have to be respectful and blah, 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 right? Which I think are key ingredients to that. To whatever you want to be. So whatever you want to do, you're going to have to work hard. Anything worth having, you're going to have to work for, right? Whether that's a career, whether that's certain financial status, whether that's a partner, whether that's a body type, whether that's any personal goal, you're going to have to work hard. Even if something as simple is somebody, you're not a strong reader or an avid reader. Oh yeah, I don't read a lot of books this year or something like that. You're gonna, but I want to. If you really want to, you're gonna have to adjust things in your life to work around it, and it's gonna take work to do it, to get there. So I think a lot of people aren't willing to do what it takes to get the things that they claim that they want out of life, to reach some of those achievements, right? And so I think that to get that, the first thing that you should do is discover. I'll say you're working backwards because you already know what the finish line looks like, but you don't know all the obstacles that come in between that. And some stuff you're just never gonna know until you do it. But we have billions of years of human history, and so all it takes is go do some research, go do some time, go do some observation. Right? Where did you spark this idea from? Because I'm sure that somebody has done something either exactly that you want to do or something similar to what you want to do. For me, with the whole content creation thing, the the podcasting, which I wouldn't even call it a job podcast. It's more of a Letterman talk show, radio show, me getting my thoughts off, right? But whenever I was doing NIT, that's a podcast. I do like podcasting because I think that's just the new wave of radio or the new way of disseminating your thoughts and information, sharing your opinions and things like that. It's broadcasting, right? For me, I looked at whenever I first did NIT, I tried to model after my favorite podcast at the time, the Joe Budden podcast. Probably still my favorite podcast. It's just the one I listen to most frequently, right? And I wasn't really know exactly what it took to put out something successful like that, right? I'm still learning ways into it, but I'm delving into, how you present, how you speak, topics that people care about, having chemistry. A lot of people start podcasts, they just want to be like, hey, I'm just shooting this shit with my friends because that's what it looks like. When you look at the end result of anything, it looks easy. Everybody looks at, oh, I could do that. How did this person get this opportunity? If I had that opportunity, I'll do that too. No, you wouldn't, because you'll be taking the steps to do that now. It shouldn't take, if you see what they did, then there's nothing stopping you from doing it or nothing stopping you from preparing from getting to that place. And I think a lot of people, they just want the end results right now. The Hawk Tour girl.
Oh, you gotta give him that Hawk Tour and spit on that thing.
She gets a lot of flack for it. It's just kind of like, oh, she don't do nothing. She don't talk about nothing. And she kind of really don't in the clip I seen. Right? She just said something in a little viral clip. But after that went viral. Ugh, sound like Elmer Fudd there. After that went viral, she took the steps to capitalize on it. I'm sure she went to go find an agent of some sort, somebody to put her in all those shows. I think she was on Bill Maher. Like what the fuck? Like, what did she have to talk about to be on Bill Maher? She was on Logan Paul's show. She has her own podcast. She's connected with these celebrities and stuff like that, like, in that space. And she took action. She did what she needed to do to capitalize off of it. She just didn't go viral and expect, money to start flowing in, which I think is what a lot of people do whenever it comes to things like that with finances. Some people think that they're gonna sitcom their way into romance. It's like, oh, well, I'm just going to be at the grocery store and then run into the love of my life. No. Are you doing what it takes to put yourself out there? Are you presenting to be approachable, or are you looking for somebody to approach, depending on how you want to play that game? So I think that the first step to getting what you want, you have to learn what it takes, and you have to mentally prepare to say that I'm going to do whatever it takes to get what I want. Because if you're not willing to do what it takes, you need to find a new goal. Right? I was talking to a friend of mine. He sent me a clip of Duke Dennis.
I said that he haven't seen me get curved. Wanna know why? Because I go for girls who like me. That's just plain and simple.
He was like, well, I just shoot for the girls that like me. Right? Which, I mean, that's not bad advice at all. I don't think there's nothing wrong with getting curved. Everybody gets curved at some point or another. Well, most people, I should say, get curved at some point or another. So if the goal is to not get curved and to just get whichever woman likes you, sure, let's take that. But if you do want a particular type of woman, right, you have to know who you are and you have to know what they like. And if who you are or core things about yourself aren't things that they like, what are you willing to do about that? Right? We were saying something like, it's not necessarily about people being out of your league, but make sure that you're playing the same game. You know what I'm saying? So, like, are you willing to be the type of guy that this woman likes? Are you willing to be the type of woman that this man likes? If there are core things about you that aren't, are you willing to change yourself to do it? For some people, that's a yes. For some people, that's a no. But what you can't do is keep doing the same thing, knowing that it's not going to have that result that you want, and then bitch about it, which is what I think a lot of people do, right? Especially, a lot of these men do. First thing you do is say, "Oh, she only like the black," and you see this a lot with the black dudes that don't like black girls, that don't like black women. Try to make the excuse to not like black women. Oh, they only like drug dealers and hood niggas and blah 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 blah. Well, no. Do I know some girls that do like that particular aesthetic or group of men? Yes. If you're not that, are you going to try to be that? No. Then go like some different girls. But if you're consistent on liking those type of girls, go cop a brick. That's just what it is. Are you willing to do what it takes? So first step, mentally prepare yourself that I'm going to do whatever it takes to get my goals. Second step, which is the most important step. I'm not going to say the most important, but I think it's the key part of the process. Go ahead and become that person that has achieved your goals, right? Now, in pretty much everything that you want in life or everything that you want to do in life, I'm pretty sure there's somebody that has gotten to that point, surpassed that point, or has done some variation of what you want. All right. I mentioned earlier about me looking at the Joe Budden podcast, right? And then as I kind of gotten deep into doing more of it, I kind of like, I mentioned on Page Eye before and other videos that I like, want to be like Bomani Jones or David Letterman or something like that with the guest. Guess what, man? I just can't say that I want to do that. I go watch their interviews. I go watch them do their craft, but then I also go watch about how they prepare for their craft, right? Watching other broadcasters. I was watching an interview with Skip Bayless the other day, and he was told that, if he wanted to get into this journalism space, which I don't know if I will call what I do journalism or a part of it, but he was like, man, you got to write. You have to write. And then that kind of, that flexes that muscle of being able to regurgitate information, being able to put your thoughts out there better, being able to, make it comfortable, being able to make something concise, being able to make something digestible, right? You got to write. And so that's something that I look at. And this went from the early Hey Job episodes where I'm just freestyling, getting my shit off, to, okay, now I'm taking notes, I'm getting bullet points, I'm having somewhat of a script ahead of time to put out the better product, to get better at the craft, right? They have millions of books. You could probably go find tons of books of millionaires writing things from the Rich Dad Poor Dad guy to I'm sure Warren Buffett has some books, or we're in the internet age. You can go find the millionaires or celebrities now, even ones that you probably didn't know, right? What's my guy? Oh, he's wearing like the tight suits, tall guy, Jay Waller. Watch a lot of his clips and things like that. You know what I'm saying? Like that, it's so many people to, I guess, learn from, and so many people willing to tell you exactly what flipped in their brain, what trait that they had to have to get to where they need to be. Steve Harvey, is a lot of his books are controversial, but he talks a lot about, things that it took for him to be where he is. One of his quotes is saying that I don't know any millionaire that sleeps 8 hours a day. Now, that's probably not true. But for him to get where he was, and the people that he was surrounded by, the people that he was mentored by, the people that helped him get where he was, or that he learned from, they didn't waste as much time on rest. They knew they had to sacrifice rest and leisure and other things to get where they wanted to be. They had to become a different person, right? And I think that once you have that mentality, once you have in your that you got to kind of almost be like a chameleon, right? I think that everybody has a base level of comfort, a base level of this is who I am, this is what I'm comfortable doing, this is what I'm comfortable being. And I think that if that does not align with your goals, you need to be ready to become a different person, right? If your goal is something that requires you to be personable, to be have a large network, to be a large people person, and you're an introvert, you need to stop being an introvert. And I know that's easier said than done, blah 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 blah. But that's the real deal of it. That's the real deal of it. I have a friend that's that's an aspiring author, right? And not only is he's just a student of literature, he's a student of authors. He studies the authors that he's interested in. He's whether that's from fiction to nonfiction to fantasy to whatever, because they have reached the pinnacle of where he wants to be, right? And he gets into their mode, like he gets into that mode. He'll say that, oh, J.K. Rowling did this to whenever she was writing Harry Potter, so I think I need to go do this. He's prepared to, it's good to still have your own flavor and your own spin on it, right? But their core values, their core things, they're shared across subgroups of people. And whether that's millionaires, whether that's authors, whether that's entertainers, whether that's, extroverts, whether that's people that are the life of the party, whether that's DJs, whatever it is, there are certain core values, there are certain core personality traits that whether they were either born with or things that they adopted, things that they knew that they had to do to be there. If you ever notice that every preacher has a certain level of charisma behind them. Now, I don't think it was just the group of charismatic motherfuckers decided to go be, oh, well, 20 of us gonna go be car salesmen, 20 of us gonna go be preachers or some shit like that. Like, no. I think that they knew, or the extent they had a calling, that, hey, this is what I want to do. And regardless of how they were as a comfort level, they knew that to get to reach, the heights that they wanted to reach, to be the type of preacher that they wanted to be, they had to get into that charismatic bag. Some of them were already charismatic, some of them weren't. I promise you, I bet you some of them weren't. I bet you some of them were shyer or to themselves, or they only liked one aspect of it. But no, to get where you want to be, there's going to be multiple aspects, right? And I think that, I'm not saying don't stay true to yourself, but I think that you are going to have to adopt certain things to get there, because that's part of the work. You have to become the person to reach your goals, right? You have to transform to the hunter. I like Mortal Kombat. Sometimes you got to be Shang Tsung. Like, you gotta go jack the flow to get there. What's the quote? Good artist copy, great artist steal. Sometimes you got to steal, right? You have to steal, and you have to integrate that into your own hardware. And I think that's something that is very crucial. That's something that I've learned. Just going through my 20s, man, because I was stubborn. It was ways that I wanted to do things, or rather expectations that I've had, for myself. And I guess this will just go into the next thing, personal struggles. Not necessarily just expectations, but almost, it was a sense of entitlement. There were certain things that I felt that I was entitled to because without doing any particular work towards it, there are things that came easy to me. Most of school really came easy to me. There are certain aspects, certain extracurriculars, they came easy to me. Not sports. I was never a good athlete. But shit like student government or what was that thing? It was like youth legislator or something like that, right? The MEDIS course, like little things like that. It came pretty easy to me, and so I was like, okay, well, why shouldn't everything that I want come pretty easy? And then around like 18, 19, boy, did I get a reality check of whenever I was just coasting and then things went wrong and I didn't know how to fix it because I was like, well, I didn't do anything wrong. Sometimes that's what happens. Sometimes life happens. Life makes something wrong. So what you're going to do now that you got hit with this circumstance? Are you going to still do what it takes to get where you want to be? And for me, at the time, I didn't. Because honestly, I had a bad habit of getting really lazy. I could get really lazy, and I'm sure that's something with a lot of people. But not just procrastination. It can go as far as to just kind of like, I just put it off, so I just don't want to do it anymore. Like I'll have this certain jolt of inspiration to do it. And then I was like, you know what? If I stop doing it, I don't want to do it. Or something will come up and I'll make an excuse. Or, oh, I'm just tired or anything like that. And I'm not saying that, when trying to do something, when trying to achieve something, especially something worthwhile, that the work can get overwhelming. That you'll psychologically make up reasons to not want to do it. That it could be something that you take a hiatus. If you watch any of my videos, you know that it's been, I had time I took months off, took years off, and then I upload for 4 weeks straight, But I think the key is coming back to it. Always be willing to come back to it, and that's something that I actively had to tell myself to do, to convince myself to do. In multiple things, to just get back to it. No matter how long I would let my laziness kick in, I would never let it win out. Right? You might have me for a half, might have it for a quarter, might have it for a drive, but you gotta fight back with it. And that's something that I dealt with. Something I still actively do. I have to tell myself like, okay, hey, I'm gonna do this today. I have a million alarms on my phones that, okay, after I do this, I'm going to do this before I can go relax. I have to do this before I go to sleep. I have to wake up at this time to make sure that this gets done and this is going to be done. Right? Actively tell yourself that, because I know for me, I can't just coast and do that, especially, now that I'm at the age where I think I have found a purpose, which is this, talking to you guys. And the goal is to expand this platform to talk to the world, millions of people. I know it's just as simple as me getting my thoughts off, but I think that me sharing my perspective, I do think that I have a unique perspective on things and kind of just awaken different conversations than outside of the norm, And so now that I do have that ambition, that mission rather, for myself, I have to actively make sure that I'm doing what needs to be done to get there, to grow there, whether that's, uncomfortable conversations, whether that's, learning how to edit myself, taking the time to watch videos on that, building a fucking logo. That took some time, right? You have to be willing to do all the work, right? And you may not have to do all the work because, like I said, sometimes life will just bless you. but you have to be prepared to do all the work. So that way, whenever that opportunity comes, you're there, right? I can't say that I want a large broadcasting platform or I want this super podcast to take off. And if I got an email from somebody I got an email from Spotify or whatever, Joe Budden was like, hey, I want you to produce a podcast for you or something like that. And I'm not prepared, then you know what? It's going to fall flat on my face. But if I'm, I think I'm mentally prepared, but there's still physical things that I need to do to prepare for that. And I think that with some people, if you were even presented with the opportunity to go and grasp your goals right then and there, you wouldn't know what to do with it because you're not mentally prepared for it. You're not mentally ready to do the work that comes with it. You just want the reward of it. So I think that's something that, personally, things that I've had to change with that. And honestly, it's something that I got from next step, learning from others, right? Another key step in achieving your goals. I mentioned that, somebody has probably already done what you've done before and that you need to become the person needed to reach your goals. Learn from others. Learn just not from the people that succeeded in what you've done to accomplish, but also take the time to learn from those who have failed. Learn from those who have got there and made critical miscues, critical mistakes. So you'll know to, hey, avoid that, right? I don't know if you ever played the game with a bunch of your cousins around and y'all wanted to play. It might have been a single player game. You can't beat the level or something like that. And then one cousin get there and it's like, okay, y'all finally beat this boss. And find out that he respawns right then and there. And you don't know that. But then whenever he dies, it's your turn to get the controller. Okay, you know that ahead of time. So you're going to be prepared for that. Right? And I think, that's just one aspect of you got to learn from others, man. There are people who learn from your peers, build along with them, see, the steps that they've tried. I think Issa Rae said it, that it's good to want to network up, but I think that if you network horizontally, I'm just paraphrasing here. I don't remember the exact quote. But she was like, it's also good to network horizontally. So that way, whenever all of y'all are up, those are people that you can rely on. The person that's she was working with HBO. Okay, so be cool with the guy that's interning over at Showtime while you're interning over at HBO because he can become a writer for this show, and then you might want to be an actor for this show or have something for X, Y, and Z, right? Or, I've tried working with this producer and he doesn't like this, but maybe you can try, X, Y, and Z. So always be willing to learn from others. Giannis said that Kobe told him, always be like a child, always be inquisitive. And so I think that's something that's very key when going after your goals, man. Always be inquisitive. Always ask questions. Always be willing to learn. Always be willing to, grow. Because if you're not there yet, are you going? You have to know what it takes to get there. And again, back to the central thing, you have to do what it takes to get there. So that's, I guess this is a short episode. I don't know. I've been talking for 35 minutes. But that's the crux of it, man. That's something that's just been on my mind lately. It's just kind of like, in whatever you want to do, are you willing to do what it takes there? And honestly, if you're not, it's okay to change your goals. Just make sure that you're aware that you're changing them for that reason. If your current way of doing things is more important than the outcome of that you want from something else, then follow that. Go along the path that you're taking, and you might actually be satisfied with the reward from that outcome than from what you thought. You may not want to go be a doctor anymore after seeing everything that it takes to be a doctor. So you might go along this track and you might find and enjoy it better. So, like I always said, man, think for yourself, but understand that in anything that you want in life or anything that you have to do, well, anything that you want in life, you're gonna have to do some work for it. And for some people, that work looks easy. Some people, that work looks hard. Some people are blessed, and some people, some people, they might work hard forever, but they may not be doing the right work. So just make sure that you learn all sides of what you're looking for, man. Yeah, we can get to these show updates real quick, and then we can get out of here. Show updates. So, by the time this episode comes out, there is going to be a actual Spotify and Apple podcast episode. So, working on moving all the RSS feeds over there. I know we did the NIT podcast on Spotify. Been a while since I put anything else up there, so we're going to jump into that again just to make it more accessible, because everybody's not about to just have a YouTube video up. Sidebar, look into YouTube Premium. That slick might be the best music streaming service. All right, but that's a big thing coming up. And on the IMS Studios YouTube channel, we're just going to bring over the other IMS partners. Just put it all the videos under one channel. So under this channel, you're also going to get Just in Time Sports After Dark. Be sure to follow my guy, Just in Time Sports, at JTime Sports on all your socials. For all your sports updates and things like that. Also, Nerdology will be returning very soon. My guy CL Smooth. So that will also be some clips and playbacks on the IMS Studios YouTube channel. Be sure to follow us again on Instagram at IMS Productions 2023. And we got some other things coming too, but that's going to be a surprise, man. So this is me. This is Jai. Hey, Jai. IMS in the corner. And I'm out.